It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for December 16th, 2022. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, after 25 years, Ash Ketchum has passed away at the age of 10. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host to Game Mess Mornings. It's Jordan Midler, everybody. Jordan, how are you feeling?
It sure is. It's a dark day, Jeff. It's one of the darkest days in my professional career. But
Ash Ketchum is dead. Sorry, I had to do it.
Buckingham Palace has announced that in the last few minutes, Ash Ketchum has passed away. Yes, it's truly a dark moment. But if you had anyone apart from me here to really break this down, I would not be happy. Also,
I'm glad you're here for this.
It's my last proper day of work today, and I'm spending some of it, a good hour of it, actually with you instead of Andy. So, I mean, come on.
Right, that's a win. This is my present to you. Absolutely. If you do see him before the end of the year, buy him a beer. I'm not going to pay you back for it, but just buy him one to say it's from me, all right? That'd be really nice.
The way the UK economy is going right now, that will be like a month of my wage, but I'll do my best.
Sure, yeah. I mean, listen, you gotta sink it somewhere. You gotta do your part. I'm pretty sure that's what makes the UK economy go round. How are things? Like the last day of work of the year, how are you feeling about 2022 wrapping up, and how are you feeling going into next year?
I'm feeling pretty good, man. The year has been very busy. There's been a lot of big games. It's felt like a proper like year of games. And now I'm just looking at my calendar for next year and like being somewhat terrified. I'm already working on a 2023 review. I'm expecting to be working on another 2023 review pretty soon. So yeah, it's been a good year, and it's almost kind of shocking to me that it is almost the end, because I feel like 2 days ago I was at the Pokemon World Championships, which were in like September or whatever. Then 2 days prior to that I was joining VGC, and then 2 days prior to that I was interviewing you on Overload. So it's all just happened at 100 miles an hour. What about you, man? How have you been doing?
Yeah, I'm good. You're right. Like it's, I had it in my head that, we get a few other things done, and then it's, everything's pretty much over and we don't have to worry about anything for a very long time. And then in the last day or two, it is, here are some 2023 games already.
Yeah.
Wait, no, please don't actually. And I know that is the developers and PR people trying to go enjoy their holidays. So they're just like, let's rip off the Band-Aid now and let's get it out there. But I'm like, please stop. Please stop just for a second. I will say, I mean, this does give me confidence that 2023 will be the banger year that everyone's kind of hoping it will be, where I had a great time with games in 2022, but there was Elden Ring, and then in terms of these lightning rods, there was Elden Ring and God of War, and then the lightning rods that everyone was playing and everyone was talking about were pretty few and far between. And when they did appear, it was mostly to say how disappointed we were in Gotham Knights or whatever. I'm hopeful that 2023 will be very much the opposite, and we can have just a year of really good AAA games, and then we can go back to sort of being like a normal amount with a lot of great indies popping up. But I would like a year where it's like, all the big companies are actually hitting on all cylinders, and we're getting games that feel like they are worthy of the amount of attention that we pay to gaming. But we'll see. It will hopefully kick off nice in January, and then kind of just carry all the way through the first half of the year, and then who knows where we'll be in a year from now. I'm
okay, give me a gut check here.
Yeah.
What's more likely to get pushed, Zelda or Starfield?
Starfield is more likely than Zelda, I think, to get pushed. I think I still think both will come out next year, but if one is definitely coming out, I think it's Zelda. I think a big part of that is, I say that, but I could talk myself into the opposite right now. But I think the big thing is that they've delayed it multiple times already, as I know Starfield has as well. But Nintendo's doing this in a time when it's also looking to time the release of its next hardware. And if it's not going to sync up those two things, like it seems like it's decided it's not going to, although who knows, maybe we'll see. But if it's decided it's not going to, it's like, well, we got to get Zelda out so that we can get past it, so we can move on to the next hardware, which is something we need to commit to sooner rather than later. So I think that's probably the thinking there. All right, let's get into this mess. Before we do so, though, I'll explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, hello, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings, or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. Shout out to the RSS gang. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Okay, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Sony confirms Spider-Man 2 for fall 2023 release window. This comes from the Ringo of video game news, Jordan Midler at VGC.
I'm at least the Paul. Come on now.
PlayStation has announced that Spider-Man 2 will release next fall/autumn. Brian Intihar, creative director, confirmed the release window in a post on the PlayStation blog. What a year it's been for PlayStation Studios. Here at Insomniac Games, we've been in absolute awe of the work of our peers, Intihar wrote. Congrats to everyone on a successful 2022, and here's to next year being just as exciting as we continue to get Marvel's Spider-Man 2 ready for release next fall. This is another promising big game for next year. I'm kind of like, when this game came out, I think this game is remembered super fondly at this point, but when it came out, it was, everyone loves it, but it was not in the Game of the Year discussion. It didn't win very many Game of the Years because that was the year that like God of War 2018 came out, right? And there were a handful of other things. Everyone's just kind of like, Spider-Man, yeah, of course it's great, but we're not going to put it in that conversation. I think that Spider-Man 2 here has the chance to kind of come out, raise the bar, and really set itself by taking everything they learned from Miles Morales and just making a bigger game out of it. I'm really hopeful for this one, and I love Insomniac Games at this point. Are you expecting that they're going to be able to stick to this release time frame?
I expect so. A couple of months ago, I heard of kind of internal talks or someone speaking to someone at Sony being like, oh yeah, if Spider-Man comes out next year, and they just looked at them and they were like, Spider-Man is coming out next year.
That's right.
And it's Insomniac, so I do believe them. Insomniac, the greatest developer acquisition in history. This would be like their 4th or 5th PS5 game, depending on which you count.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I agree. That first Spider-Man game is like a 4 out of 5, like very good. But when you play the definitive version or you play it on PC, there's a lot of crap in it, like the stealth missions and all this pish, like all this stuff that they really kind of ironed out by the time they got to Miles Morales, which is the far superior Spider-Man game. So yeah, I think the big question is, what is where are we? Are we just Manhattan again, or do we go to Queens? Do we go to the boroughs? Do we have these kind of things? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, it's a challenge, right? Because you would want the world to be bigger, but at the same time, this is Spider-Man, a Spider-Man game that is in that lineage of we have real world slinging that makes sense, real world web slinging that feels right. And that is a little bit less exciting in Queens in some of the outer boroughs where you don't have these giant tall buildings. I don't think that would make, it already works. You know, you can web swing in Fortnite and there aren't there's basically no skyscrapers. I mean, there are parts of that, but you could, web swing through the trees and alongside rivers and it feels right. So they could absolutely make it work. But it does make me wonder. It's like, that first trailer did show New York, so there's probably going to be something in New York. It's not like it's going to be a web or a world traveling adventure. So I do think they probably will try to expand it, but I bet they are more likely to go the route of let's make the city that we have from before more detailed, feel more alive, more dynamic. And I think I would probably be okay with that. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you can't really detach Spider-Man from New York. It's just one of these things. Yes. Whereas in a Batman story, it's always going to be Gotham, but you can change Gotham every time. It can be your version of Gotham. I think they would maybe get away with doing a few, you know how in Red Dead 2, there's that sequence where like you go off to the island and stuff like that, and you're completely divorced from the actual world for a while. I think they could get away with doing stuff like that in different parts of the Marvel universe or whatever. Tim Getty's on Kind of Funny made a good point yesterday. I really hope they don't get tempted to do any multiverse shit, because I think like it's so easy to just be like, okay, put everyone in, especially because multiverse is the kind of buzzword. I hope it's just a Peter and Miles story.
Yep.
And they've got so much to like pay off from that first game with the Harry Osborn stuff and now Venom. So yeah, I think it will be the same way that Miles Morales made that section of New York much better than it appeared in the first game. They could do that with all the sections and maybe add a part where you go to Queens and it is kind of almost like a Metroidvania where your powers are stripped back, but the power is you can't just launch across the city anymore. So yeah, I'm excited for that. That would be a game that I think like that is going to be an absolutely huge PS5 mover. Like I think that'll be the bundle for next year.
Mm-hmm.
Between that and games like Starfield and Hogwarts Legacy, there are so many games that are going to sell these next-gen consoles to people who haven't bothered yet, and I think that's one of the main ones.
Oh, yeah. I think we know Spider-Man is exactly that. It is Their Mario Kart 8, it's the one that just kept selling, and especially Miles Morales at this point, where it's that game came out at that transitional period with the PS4 and the PS5, and that first month it was like, oh, it's kind of not selling as well as the last game, and it's since then it's just had like legs on legs, where it was able to sell a ton every month after that, because people were waiting to play it on PS5 even though it was available on both. And I think Spider-Man 2 that's confirmed next, just PS5 only, right?
I believe so. Yeah,
I think that's
God,
right.
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so too. And that's okay, yeah, and that's going to move on a huge chunk of the audience who recognize and come to PlayStation 4 Spider-Man. Yeah, it's really going to have that mover ability that very few games really do have. All right, let's move on. Chris Metzen has returned to Blizzard Entertainment to work on World of Warcraft. This also comes from Jordan Midler at VGC.
It's me.
As announced in a tweet by John Haidt, the general manager for Warcraft, the veteran will return as a creative advisor for Warcraft's leadership. And this is Chris Metzen. Chris's focus initially will be on World of Warcraft. Then his work will expand to other projects across this growing franchise. Metzen retired from Blizzard after being at the company for 23 years. This is another quote. Chris was one of the original team members working on the Warcraft universe back when it began in 1994, and we are so happy to be reuniting with him, reuniting him with the world he helped create. Metzen is someone that did leave kind of right on the early end of the recent exodus of major talent from Blizzard, but he was one of the key members of that staff and one of the key people responsible for creating Warcraft into what it was. Him coming back as let's see, his title is going to be like chief advisor or something like that, creative advisor. Do you think this is something that is going to make a big difference for World of Warcraft and whatever else they might do with Warcraft?
I don't think it will make a big difference for World of Warcraft, but I think it's more of a kind of franchise steward role. Like, what do we do next? The whole death of World of Warcraft thing has felt like it's been going on for about 10 years, and yet people still get excited for those expansions. And stuff,
now it's back in a good place again, in case you didn't know.
Yeah.
It's just gone back and forth, and now back in a good place.
So I think this was more of a, for the now, work on World of Warcraft, work on bits and pieces, but what can we do to make this franchise important to people that don't remember the old Warcraft games, that don't have any affinity with World of Warcraft? I bet taking a job at Blizzard at the minute is very strange, especially with this Microsoft thing looming. Yep. Like, is this a case of when that acquisition happens or doesn't happen, roles will dissolve, kind of the trajectory for projects will completely change. But I think it's Blizzard just having that kind of, the way that Jeff Kaplan was such a forefront for Overwatch and he was like the face of Overwatch for a while. I think more franchises could do well to have a face like that. And obviously Metzen's was there for a quarter of a century, so he's very trusted in that community. So yeah, I think this is a smart decision, especially after, was it Warcraft 3 that they remade and everyone hated? Or was that Warcraft 2?
It was Warcraft 3
Reforged or something?
Reforged, yes.
Yeah.
And it was just a nightmare. It was a really bad version of that game.
Like, doing remakes of those games feel like such an easy win. Like it's very obvious why people like those games. So yeah, more people in these studios that know what made them special, especially Blizzard, because there was a time where a Blizzard game would like stop the industry.
Yeah. And
now it's like, it's another week kind of.
Yeah, I mean, we say this a lot. It's companies don't make games, people make games, and a lot of the people left Blizzard. And you can still have a culture at Blizzard that tries to attract new people that were inspired by that originally, and I think that is something that is possible and does happen quite frequently. There is a power behind a brand to attract that new generation, but it helps if you have a sort of mission statement that does attract those people in the first place, and if it's strong enough, maybe it could attract someone like a Chris Metzen back. And I think it also might help that Activision Blizzard is in a spot right now where it's like, if you come back as a key figure, as someone with a lot of seniority, we'll give you quite a bit of Activision stock, and that could be worth a lot here in a couple of months to a year to the next couple of years. And it's okay. Yeah, there's a big promise payoff for that right there, built in. If, of course, if the regulators approve the Microsoft deal, and then you stay there for a couple of years, and then you can just leave again, take your exit package, and then go start a new development studio, which has happened around Blizzard a million times. Like we say, the people make games, not companies, and then a lot of those people aren't at Blizzard anymore. Well, they are right in that same general part of the world, attracting a lot of them, of the other people they used to work with, and they're like second dinner studio and creating Marvel Snap, and that almost stopped the industry a little bit more than a lot of other like big mobile card games would have. So it's like that stuff is still happening, and it's still part of the Blizzard legacy. It's just maybe not at Blizzard itself, and the challenge is for Activision and Blizzard and maybe Microsoft in the future to figure out how to recalibrate it so that people do feel like that Blizzard can be Blizzard again. I am hopeful about what you said, that World of Warcraft could kind of keep going on the trajectory it's on right now, which does seem to be pretty good. They've scaled back sort of their storytelling, according to Mike Minotti, who is my friend who plays a lot of this game. He tells me about it. He's like, yeah, a lot of the expansions, the stories have been, the world's going to end. All these stakes are super high, and the characters are all so important. And I just kind of want, go to an island and get a dragon, and you can ride it. And that's where they're at right now. And I think that's why the community's so happy, is because they've like lowered the stakes, made it a fun adventure. And I think if they could keep that going, they'll be fine. What else can we do with Warcraft, though? That's what we should be figuring out now. We should have been figuring this out for a really long time. And every time we've tried so far, it's either fumbled or been canceled. Maybe we need to bring someone in who was part of the original team to kind of reestablish, rekindle some of that magic so that we can break ourselves out of being locked down to World of Warcraft only. So we'll see.
Yeah. The chat is asking, who is Mike Minotti?
Mitch Tokoto, excuse me. I always say that typo in my brain, of course. Hideo Kojima is hoping to reveal his completely new game in 2023. This comes from Tom Ivan over at VGC. On Friday, the Kojima Productions boss provided a brief update on what the studio is working on and a video message related to coincide with its 7th anniversary, which, man, time flies. The company announced Death Stranding 2 at the Game Awards last week. In addition to Death Stranding 2, and this is a quote now, "We are also preparing a completely new game as well as some visual projects," Kojima said in his video message. "I am hoping to bring you more information on all of those next year." So we'll talk about his movie adaptation here in a little bit. But for now, he's saying, we should be talking about that other game next year. The other game almost certainly is that Microsoft Cloud project, which has already been officially announced, but not revealed. We don't know what it is, other than maybe this goes back to those leaks about Overdose. Yes. Overdose. And maybe that's actually going to be what that is, which is a horror game. Looks like it has some interactive elements, but also looks like it's kind of a quarry sort of thing at the same time. But who knows if that was just a test and we actually see the final product and it looks nothing like that. 2023 is probably when we should hear about this game, right? Microsoft, Kojima, they don't want to be in a position where we're waiting years before we hear anything about the next thing from Kojima, right?
Yeah, it would be a really bad look for Death Stranding 2 to come out as this big PS5 exclusive, and then Microsoft to be like, we have this thing from Kojima too, and it's obviously not the same scale, it's not the same big thing. So yeah, a bit of a stopgap there. I agree, it's ridiculous that it's been so many years. I remember he also posted a picture of him with Andy House, and people were talking about that video of them talking about how they were working together, and that eventually becoming Death Stranding. It's kind of wild. Like, we'll get to the point sooner rather than later when someone will be able to tweet, "Oh yeah, Kojima's now been working independently for as long as he was working on Metal Gear Solid." Like,
yes, very weird.
Like that. But yeah, I think that Overdose is an interesting thing. I think people that are getting super excited about it being this massive game on a Death Stranding 2 scale are completely misinformed and are going to set themselves up for disappointment. It seems like it will be Kojima experimenting with technology he finds interesting and kind of forming a story around that. And I bet it's cool, but I bet that what he wants to achieve with Death Stranding 2 is going to be the big thing.
Yeah, I mean, they are expanding. He talked about that. He said, they showed off their new studio space a little bit, which they've been in for a little bit of time, but it is still pretty recent compared to when they put out their last game. He's like, we're expanding. We want to do more. We are working on movies. I think that they are going to try and make sure the cloud thing does feel like a big deal. But obviously, I think his efforts in the immediate future are on Death Stranding 2, which I talked a little bit about this game when we came out of the Game Awards, and it got confirmed. But it does seem like that game is going to be, sure, it'll be Death Stranding, but it's an opportunity for him to do something that's significantly different than the first Death Stranding. I bet it'll have some elements shared. But I mean, how different are you expecting that game to be? Because it's probably not just going to be the same, connecting the world through building roads game, right?
No, I expect not. I expect it'll be Kojima being like, okay, we've connected the world. Yep. What is the society that rebuilds itself after we've connected the world? Like, it'll go into all that. Kojima will find himself talking about like governments and predicting the downfall of the world once again. I'm still convinced a big portion of this will take place at sea. There's just too much floating around about that for me to be dissuaded by that. And literally in the trailer, there's like a proper foghorn, like a proper like. Mm-hmm. So it's not subtle. But I bet the actual gameplay is still kind of walking about occasionally. I hope the combat's better, man. The combat in Death Stranding is shite. Like, there's so much cool stuff in Death Stranding, but when you actually have to interact with other people, it's like, no, can we skip this? Can we go over this part? So if they could sort that out, and the way that, you know how when you go back and play the old Metal Gear games after Metal Gear 5, you're like, they got to a point where this was amazing. Yep. I want the Metal Gear 5 of Death Stranding.
Absolutely, yes. I think Death Stranding 1, I had a lot of good ideas. I think they could have gone a lot more in the direction of making it an open world sim sort of thing that they got with Metal Gear Solid 5, and I hope 2 is that. Do you think there's a chance that as part of the mechanics in the story, you are in this world and you come across someone else that has used the connections you've built and people mistook them for you, and they started to come up with conspiracy theories saying that the thing that this guy was working on is really the thing that you've been working on, and he was like, maybe it is, and then
I'm sure all the allusions to the real world will be as subtle as Brock Lesnar, as they usually are with Kojima's work, but I just like, it's weird. I really like Kojima the creator, but a lot of his games I pretty much don't like, apart from like I love that he gets to make them, and I always want to hear what he's doing next, and then I get the game and I play it and I'm like, come on. Like, I wish I enjoyed this more from a gameplay perspective, because I love the vibe. His musical taste is impeccable, including Churches, the Scottish band, who he's absolutely in love with.
Right.
But yeah, I think that I also think that game is sooner than people expect. I bet that game's like 24. Like, I don't think that's a million years away.
Yes, I agree. I think we had this idea in our heads that Kojima takes forever to make his games. And I think that it might have felt that way because the anticipation was always there for so long. And obviously his games were bigger and did take longer than a lot of other stuff. But it's not like he's expanded since then. I think Death Stranding took about the same amount of time as any of his other games. And so you can kind of think, okay, well, maybe he'll just be able to stick to that cadence going forward. And I think he will too. I agree that he's it seems like he's obviously capable of sticking to a budget and sticking to a date, at least as much as anyone else in the games industry. So I think that story's kind of faded out from here.
Yeah, and also he doesn't have, at least I don't think he has the Andy House protection of the first game, right, where he could just do whatever he wanted and had infinite money for a few years. Like, he has to actually make a game at some point.
Yes, absolutely. Bacalar, my camera came. Thanks, dude. I'll use it for the next show. All right. I just had a courier show up here. Okay, let's move on. Congress members penned letter asking gaming firms how they are combating extremism. This comes from Jeffrey Rousseau at gamesindustry.biz. Several members of Congress have penned a letter to ask top game companies how they are addressing extremism. As reported by Axios, the inquiry will be sent to gaming firms such as Activision Blizzard, Electronic Arts, and Sony. The legislator's letter has been attributed to the Anti-Defamation League's new Hate and Harassment in Online Gaming report, which was released last week. The survey found that exposure to white supremacist ideologies and identity-based harassment is increasing in online games. Axios says the Congress inquiry will request details such as what systems are in place to fight extremism and data on disciplinary actions taken against players for violations. Now, this is pretty relevant in the right now. I mean, it's always relevant, but it's relevant right now because apparently the person that attacked Nancy Pelosi's wife just said, yeah, I got started down this path by Gamergate. It's like, okay, well, that's still rippling through everything, isn't it? And we kind of look around like, what can anyone do about this? Well, we could do something. And Congress is asking, hey, game developers, what could you do? Here's one thing I've noticed, Jordan. Twitter's gotten worse. And it matters. Policies matter. And the people in charge and their view on what can be done about certain behaviors and shaping the way the algorithm shapes things. How can they shape the algorithm to improve things, to make things feel better? Things have gotten better over time, and then suddenly someone else came in and said, all that stuff you're doing is stupid, I know better, and immediately Twitter has felt worse. And now some of that, of course, is going to be a confirmation bias on my part, but another part of that is, no, I think we could probably go in there and demonstrably prove that it is a worse experience if you are someone who wants mostly just kind of fun conversations and thoughtful conversations and less bigotry and less hatred and less just annoying people in general. Also, YouTube has gotten much better since Gamergate, gotten much better since that weird time when the worst people in the world were being encouraged to go on YouTube because they could make a lot of money, and the algorithm was feeding people into those videos. It has legitimately gotten better. It's not the best, it's not perfect, but it's gotten better since then. And so we can do something to fight these things and stand and find ways to mitigate the worst damage that could be done. So Congress coming along and asking, what are you doing, is very welcome by me. What do you think?
I mean, I agree that it's welcome, but I think it's weird to ask these companies when, like, the companies that make the games, apart from like moderation tools and things like that, things that happen in game can always be better. But it feels like it's platforms that house the worst of the community that are the problem, rather than like all these subreddits
Absolutely.
And stuff like that just like batter back and forth the same like insane ideas over and over again. Like, game companies can't really do anything about that. They can make their games as good in terms of like, if you report someone, it's going to actually have an effect, stuff like that. Weirdly enough, for a long time, the PlayStation Network was really good about like banning folk that were like being shit and like having like auto detect for like slurs and stuff like that. Yeah, like I feel like Congress being like, EA, what are you doing about white supremacy? It's like, you're fucking Congress, you are white supremacy. Like, look inward a little bit and not blame these fucking game companies. Like, it's such a strange
I get where you're coming from, but it's also like, this is the power that they can wield, and obviously, like, I mean, when the people that want to fight white supremacy are in power, as they have been for the last couple of years and will be for in some ways going forward, at least ostensibly claim to wanting to fight this, they can look inward, but also, like, I do want them at least prodding outward into society and saying that we care about this enough to ask about it. And I don't think that these companies should feel like they're being blamed. They definitely should feel like, hey, well, we better be able to bring something to the table that says, we have all these systems to make money. I see Activision Blizzard listed here. And Activision Blizzard has so many tools in the background to funnel you into wanting to stick around and be a part of the community. And that makes you want to spend more time there, and makes you want to spend more money. And that stuff is not, some of it's publicly documented, some of it's just kind of behind the scenes where they just know how to manipulate us to get us to spend more time in these places. Okay, how you're using those tools to make money. Have you thought about any of the other consequences as part of those things? Have you considered using those tools to maybe shape things to make things better? If Congress is just asking the question, I'm fine with it. I think if they do go to a point where like this is a scapegoat, which it doesn't feel that way to me yet, but it could turn into that easily, then obviously it's like, okay, they're not serious about this. This is just another sort of parading an industry in front of people to be like, to be the whipping boy. And what are we even doing here? But yeah, I do expect them to come in front of Congress, these companies, and say exactly what you said. We don't control Discord. We don't control Reddit. These public forums that our games are attractions for, but we don't have any control over. We can only do so much, and I do think that will bring many of these firms back to social media as being an area of concern for them, which has been the case for years and years, and they haven't really figured out what to do one way or the other with that. And who knows if they have any good solutions there or ever will. So, yeah, and I mean, the solution has been make it make it an incentive to want to have a better platform. And I think YouTube and Twitter were ones where like we kind of do feel incentivized to do that, and they slowly were moving the other direction. But we've seen how that could be just blown up at any moment if one weird billionaire decides they want to do that. So
yeah, and in the era of in the era of digital games and big digital libraries, these console makers do have a massive thing to hold over people to be like, behave or all your games are fucking gone. Which like for the most extreme cases of like targeted harassment and like just saying the worst shit in the world, like fucking take all their games off them. Like, I don't care.
Yep.
Cry more. Just behave more. Just behave. Like, it's not hard. Yep. It's so easy to shit talk people without being a dick. Like, you can have online like shit talking. And if you're playing FIFA or something like that and you're beating someone and you're noising them up, and then at the end of the game, shake hands, move on.
Yeah.
It's just the people that have like...
Yeah, I remember the one...
maddening.
The one insult that really stuck with me because I was just like, I didn't fully understand it, but it felt like his friends were laughing. Like, you sound like you read books. I'm like, wow, what? Wait, what?
That's a fucking belter.
And it stuck with me. Obviously got somewhere inside me like, man, okay, I mean I do, but I don't know if I want to sound that way. Shit. All right, fair enough. Okay, let's move on to mobile version of Vampire Survivor reaches 1 million downloads in a single week. This comes from James Batchelor at gamesindustry.biz. Vampire Survivors is already a hit on mobile, having been downloaded more than 1 million times within 1 week of release. The iOS and Android port of the hugely popular indie game was a surprise announcement during the Game Awards last week and offers the full experience to mobile users for free. MobileGamer.biz cites App Magic data, which shows the game has been racked up 562,000 installs on iOS and 585,000 via Google Play. Japan is the game's biggest market on iOS, followed by US, Russia, South Korea, and Taiwan. Meanwhile, its biggest audience on Android is in Brazil, followed by US, Russia, Japan, and Spain. This game's still just kind of a phenomenon, right? So it's been like a full year now because it did like debut at the end of 2021, right? Where this game came out of nowhere, people started talking about it, and then everyone was like, "Oh, it's still only $3. I'm going to pick it up on Steam Early Access," and it became big then, and then it hit Game Pass, became big again, and now it's being mentioned at the Game Awards, and it's getting DLC, and it just seems like it's continuing to carry that momentum forward. It wasn't a flash in the pan, and I'm like, I'm really happy for it because I continue to love Vampire Survivors, and I'm not surprised it's doing very well on mobile. Jordan.
Yeah, it's an absolutely great game. It's like the number one thing I've played on my Steam Deck. It's like the Steam Deck game of the year. I am saving Giant Bomb's Liberations for my between Christmas and New Year break. Did my boy Vampire Survivors perform well?
It showed well during our deliberations. Yes, we
okay, good.
It's one of those games where it just sort of mostly skated by because it was just understood that everyone loves it. So it's one of those. Absolutely. Okay, let's explain our joke from earlier. Ash Ketchum and Pikachu's time in the Pokemon anime is coming to an end. This comes from Ollie Reynolds at Nintendo Life. The Pokemon Company has confirmed that Ash Ketchum's Pokemon journey is about to come to an end. In a video posted on Twitter, it's been announced that 11 special episodes, dubbed "Aim to be a Pokemon Master," will air in Japan starting January 13th, 2023, and will mark the final chapter in Ash and Pikachu's story. It's the end of an era. Ash's journey started all the way back in April 1997 in the Indigo League episodes, featuring classic episodes like Showdown in Pewter City, Charmander, the Stray Pokemon, and Battle Aboard the St. Anne. The iconic protagonist featured in dozens of feature movies and even made some subtle appearances in the video game series. It is an end of an era. 25 years of this, and they are going to move on. They have a new show coming. Let's see if I have it here. It's going to star Rico and Roy. These are new protagonists that will debut in Japan in April 2023, and they will have Paldea region Pokemon starters to go along with them. So, yeah, get fucked Ash Ketchum, I guess.
Fuck you, Jeff Grubb. When I watched this video this morning, I was like, as the video started, I was like, this is going to make me fucking cry. And then when the video ended, I was just sitting there like, tears ejecting out of my face at like 100 RPM. Here's the thing. I was born in 1995.
Oh no!
Pokemon started airing in the UK in 1999. I distinctly remember watching that first episode. Like it is ingrained into my brain in a way that this just feels like a fucking death in the family. Like
I bet
it was horrible. I think it is time to do it because he won. That was the entire thing. Like the Pokemon Company always said, we never let him win the leagues because we want to show kids that if you don't win, it's fine. It's about the journey and like taking part. Boring shit like that.
Sure,
now he's actually done it. He has won. So it is time to move on. It's cool that they're giving him 11 last episodes because there's a lot of stuff in the anime that they need to. Who's his dad? There's a lot of unanswered questions. Have all that shit happen.
The question that has always plagued us: who's Ash's daddy?
So there's an episode from 2004 that a character. Jeff, you log off. I'll talk to the crew. Okay. So there's an episode from 2004 in which it was very much implied that a certain character was Ash's dad, and it's not Giovanni or anything like that. So if they could bring that back around, that would be pretty cool. It's not Mr. Mime, you sick fucks. So yeah, they need to do that. And they need to do the GS ball, which was originally meant to play out in the anime, but they never ended up doing it for whatever reason. There's been like 1,300 episodes, so some unanswered questions. So do that. Bring Ash, Brock, and Misty back together. 11 episodes, 11 different theme songs, and then in the final episode, they end it with the proper Pokemon theme song. Everyone cries, everyone's happy, and then these new fucking kids get this Scarlet and Violet pish.
Yeah.
I hope the new anime is animated at like fucking 3 frames a second, so it's accurate to the game experience.
Christopher's in chat says it's not Machoke, isn't it? And it literally says Ma-choke right in there. So you got to think it could be a possibility.
This is disgusting. This is disgusting.
I can't think of anything hotter. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, for these last 11 episodes, what's her name and what's his name? Brock, the guy that with no eyes, and then the girl that made
Brock
everyone into
Misty.
Suspenders for a very long time. They're back.
Yeah.
Misty.
Yeah, they're coming back. They'll bring back all the old companions. It will be like a victory lap for 11 episodes. Like nothing will actually happen off substance. But yeah, it's very exciting. It's got a lot of people who. So I don't watch the show regularly anymore, but it's got a lot of people of my age being like, yeah, we'll come back for these last 11. Like, we'll see this. It was the same thing that happened when he fucking won the Pokemon League like a month ago. Everyone was like, he finally did it. They reported it on ESPN, like he fucking won the Super Bowl. Like, so Ash Ketchum.
I want them to report on ESPN if Ash and Misty kiss. Like, they finally did it. They're shipping these 10-year-olds kissed. We did it.
Ash and Pikachu, like that image is very important to people of my age. So that changing is hugely fucking significant. It is. I don't think it's too far to say that the only is not quite as huge, but in a similar ballpark as the Simpsons ending. Like for a generation, it is The Simpsons. So like, I think it's fucking massive. And it's anime, so Ash will be back. They're not going to shoot him in the back of the fucking head in the last episode, but yeah, it's sad.
Ash will be back. I promise everybody, Ash will be back. And it's not like Pikachu's going to keep being the mascot, and they're going to keep finding ways to put Pikachu in front of you because they know it makes a lot of money. So yes, all these things will only be a temporary end, but it is interesting. They picked the time to move on, and I
just have Pikachu shit like sitting around the house. Like there's half a fucking Pikachu Joy-Con here. Like if a thing has Pikachu on it, there's a good chance that I will do some capitalism with it. So yeah,
it's you got to do it. I did start watching the Pikachu anime like in the last couple of weeks because of all that talk and hubbub. I started from the beginning. It's my workout show now. I'm gonna watch the whole first season, and then I'll probably pick and choose what people say are like the must-watch episodes and then try to jump to the time when he wins. I do want to see that. I was not 4 years old when I first started watching this show. I was at least 16, 17. I had a car. I remember that much. And I was like, oh, I'm going to check the show out. And I thought it'd be like, Power Rangers came out when I felt a little bit too old for it. And yet I still got really into Power Rangers. I was kind of hoping the same thing would happen with Pikachu, with Pokemon at the time. It just didn't, at least with the show. I got into the game for a little bit. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is you're a fucking child and you disgust me.
Just because you're like fucking 700 years old, like
I mean, listen, I'm just saying, as a gamer boomer, I get to decide what we talk about here. I control everything. All the money should flow my way. I control everything, and then
we're done talking about GI Joe shit to talk about.
I'm pulling up the ladder, baby. I'm pulling up the ladder.
Well,
Henry
what even
Cavill moves
was-
on to a Warhammer 40K adaptation with Amazon. This comes from Ollie Welsh at Polygon. Henry Cavill is moving on after the actor's recently touted return as Superman was ruled out this week by DC Studios boss James Gunn. Speculation that Cavill might respond by unretiring from the role of Geralt of Rivia in Netflix's The Witcher has been squashed. That's also not happening. But the world's favorite nerdy beefcake does have a new project lined up, a Warhammer 40K adaptation with Amazon. After an initial report from Hollywood Reporter that Amazon was in the final stages of securing the rights, Games Workshop announced it had reached an agreement with the tech and entertainment giant to create a Warhammer 40K cinematic universe. Cavill, a noted Warhammer fan, is set to star and serve as executive producer. No showrunner or writer is attached yet to the adaptation of the dark fantasy sci-fi setting of Game Workshop's tabletop war games. The Hollywood Reporter piece mentioned a series, but Games Workshop said the deal encompasses film, TV, and more. It feels a little bit surprising, but also completely unsurprising that Henry Cavill's involved here. He is the guy that's like, I just worked out and now here's me painting my tiny little Warhammer guys. And that's been his personality for a long time. I've been charmed by that. I'm not surprised that has turned into a cachet that he can use to be like, hey, Amazon, let's go make this happen. And Amazon being like, I guess so. I'm down with that. Do you think that they're going to be able to capture 40K's essence in a filmed medium of any sort?
I mean, if anyone has the money to do it, like if they're willing to just chuck ridiculous amounts of money at it, they could potentially do it. And if Henry Cavill is such a 40K nerd, you would hope that he has some kind of like creative control brother where he is like the man to say, no, this is shit. This is how we want to do it. Henry Cavill seems like a really nice guy, and he seems like he's had like he's had a lot of shit recently. Although that those Enola Holmes films quite funny. He's got good patter on
I haven't watched the second one. I really like the first one. I plan to watch the second one. He is very good in it. He seems like he's got those chops to make kind of any role work. But it's like 40K is this very specific thing, though, right? And this is going to be the poll question today, everybody. So get ready for it about whether or not they're going to be able to pull this off, because I have a glancing interest in 40K that was just peaked recently because of Dark Tide. But when I do like open up those curtains and look in, it is a lot like that scene in Scrooge or whatever it is when Bill Murray looks into the ghost of future. And it's just like screaming skeletons and light and death and it's like, okay, it's all that, but it's like also, what if that was a metaphor for the worst kind of politics and atrocities in the history of mankind, and you have to do it sort of with this smirk on your face, because that's what 40K is. It's like we are. What if like Alex Jones really did present as a full satire, and it's like, okay, I'm interested in that. I want to see what it works really good in the mediums it already exists in, and I think it's fun as a game setting for sure. I think trying to make that work as a film or television is possible, but it's going to be pretty interesting, and it's going to take a lot of really talented people, I think. But Henry Cavill at least does seem to understand it and want to do it right. And being an executive producer, maybe he does have some sway over making it happen. I'm hopeful. This is something that they've been wanting to make happen for a long time. Like at least a lot of fans have wanted movies and TV shows for this series. So hey, they're finally getting it, and they got a star attached. So it does seem likely that it actually will come through. But
does this feel a bit like the comic book film Gold Rush, where every day it's just like fucking
here's my next question.
Here's another video game thing. Like, are we really going to get to a point where we open up Prime Video or Netflix or whatever, and it's just like 10 video game adaptations of descending quality? Like, I bet that Last of Us one is great, and I bet a few of them are also pretty good, but I bet some of them get the absolute dregs. Like, it feels like everyone is. There's clearly a buzz in Hollywood being like, oh, you've got to get whatever property you want. Let's get a property, get it up on a streaming platform. Let's fucking go. Like.
Yeah, I mean, IP is still the thing that's making all these things go round, and Sonic made a lot of money, and so they're like, well, that can work. We've seen over and over again, video game movies don't work. Well, it's like, you kept making really bad ones, and whose fault is that? Not the video games. So finally, someone made a video game movie that is at least inoffensive to the people who are a fan of the IP, and it made a lot of money. And then the Sonic 2 came out, made even more money, and so like, okay, well, this is a success, and it's a repeatable success, and we could follow a formula here. We need to go out and get IP, and it's absolutely a gold rush. That's 100% what it is, and it's exactly the same as the comic book gold rush. And I do think that the most likely scenario is that the vast majority of them continue to be pretty bad, because Hollywood is only as interested in them as much money as they can make them, and they want to do that on the cheap. And a lot of these are going to require a big investment. I mean, even like Warcraft, the movie, was a big, expensive thing, but it kind of needed to be even more expensive to really flesh that world out. So it's like, okay, these are big investments, and I don't know if Hollywood's really going to have the appetite for it. So I think we're going to, the absolute dregs. I think you're absolutely right about that. Guerrilla confirms it's working on a Horizon online cooperative game. This comes from Tom Ivan at VGC. The studio has uploaded 17 job positions for a new online project, with several of the descriptions confirming that it's a Horizon game. And this is as spotted by content creator Joraptor. Guerrilla is looking for a lead world designer to bring the expanding Horizon universe to a multiplayer audience, reads an advert for a lead world designer role. Guerrilla has now specifically addressed the online project set in Horizon's universe, which is the quoted description of the game. In a social media post, it said the game would feature a new cast of characters and a unique stylized look. It said friends will be able to explore the majestic wilds of Horizon together. The studio clarified that it would continue to make the epic solo adventures starring series protagonist Aloy as well, which of course it is going to do that. This is... I think every one of these big studios at Sony is going to no longer just be making big single player games. So this doesn't surprise me at all. But what should we expect here, Jordan?
I think that, the listing's interesting. This has kind of been trickling out for some time, but I think that the prospect of a Horizon, that world of Horizon is really cool. And I think there's a lot that you could do there. The idea of running about as a big group trying to take down a massive, like, multi-story one of these monsters would be brilliant, like a Monster Hunter type Horizon game. It would be interesting to see maybe this first wave of Sony's big multiplayer splash is what IPs do we have that we could easily translate, instead of spending the multiple years it would take to even get a concept and then making the game. Like, if we can adapt an Uncharted game into a multiplayer thing, a Horizon game into a multiplayer thing, like, that seems obvious to me. Order 1887 MMO, are we right?
I mean, I'm sure they're working on that. That makes the most sense in the world to me.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Horizon gets a bad rap, man. I don't understand this.
Let me warn you about our Game of the Year.
Oh, I'm aware. I saw a comment on Reddit, and I was like, fucking hell, like...
It kind of became a meme really quickly, because we could tell we were all, most of us were like, about it, so we just kind of doubled down on it. And sorry, with apologies to Guerrilla. Sorry about that.
Those Horizon games. What is it about coming to Giant Bomb that just makes people suddenly have terrible taste in games? This happens every year.
It's in the contract. I'll show you a copy. I didn't sign an NDA on that. I'll show you the clause. It just says, man, you got to get some shit taste. And I'm like, hey, man, no problem. I'm there. Give me Bubsy.
This is a sidebar, but every single fucking year for Giant Bomb's Game of the Year, I have my Christmas dinner and then I start, like, listening to it throughout the week. And it just, like, ruins my week every single year, like, without fail.
I promise you that we probably will ruin it in some very fun ways this year. But mostly, it's a good time. I think you're going to enjoy yourself.
I would be disappointed if I didn't have to, like, leave my desk at some point and just be like, you know what, fuck this. Like, I can't listen to this anymore. These conversations are just the worst.
How do you feel about Tunic?
I've played about an hour of it.
Okay, then I'm trying to think of, like, the ones where it's like we kept bringing it up as we need to get rid of this thing. And there were defenders, of course, but
oh yeah, those conversations when it comes down to, like, the last, like, 15, and you're like, you start making arguments against games that you like to try and bring up the one that you like.
Well, so we did specifically avoid that this year by making a list of 20 and then doing Eurovision to actually come up with the actual top 10. It worked brilliantly because we had a ton of great conversations for that 20, and then we didn't do those conversations, which that's the stuff that always makes people miserable. So we're just like, hey, ripcord out of this. We had the cool conversations, and it went great, actually. So
Mario Maker shouldn't have been in the top fucking 50 that year. Anyway, next story. Mario Maker isn't a game. It's a fucking Little Big Planet Light.
I signed the clause. Mario Maker was right. All right, last couple stories here. Hideo Kojima's Death Stranding gets a film adaptation. This is what we were talking about earlier. This comes from Jeffrey Rousseau, once again, at gamesindustry.biz. Hideo Kojima's 2019 adventure titled Death Stranding is receiving a film adaptation. As reported by Deadline, Kojima Productions and Hammerstone Studios will develop and produce the movie. It's currently unknown who will write or direct the feature film. Founded by Alexei Lebovici, Hammerstone Studios will be financially backing the Death Stranding movie. I mean, hey, it's once again part of that gold rush. I think you attach Hideo Kojima's name to something like that. You could also bring some cachet. You could maybe even attract some of his Hollywood friends to come be on it. So, yeah, it's not too surprising that this is happening. This is something Kojima has always wanted to do, right?
Oh yeah, it's crazy that it's taken this long. And I mean, there is so much in that game, and Death Stranding specifically, that a lot of the great story stuff happens in between the big overwrought cutscenes, like the wee small things when you're walking through the world. I really wonder how it's going to translate. I always thought he would get around to doing the Metal Gear stuff before he touched the Death Stranding film, because Metal Gear is so filmic. Like half of it is just ripping off like action films. Yeah, but also Death Stranding feels like a TV series more than it feels like a film. But I don't know. It's Kojima. He was hanging about with Al Pacino. Maybe he'll play Die Hard Man. So yeah, the real interesting thing is, are they going to pay to get that cast, like the Death Stranding cast? Because it'd be interesting to see, like, oh, here's someone that kind of looks like Norman Reedus and Lea Seydoux and
Right. I mean, those stars are not so expensive that, like, for monetary reasons, you're going to go with like smaller stars, right? You just go out and get Norman Reedus. Like that makes all the sense in the world.
I mean, especially because they're like best mates. I expect that one to happen. And I think Guillermo del Toro doesn't actually play that character. I think he just provides the
right. Jeff Keighley didn't do Jeff Keighley's voice either. Like,
it's weird finding like Edgar Wright and it's just some random American guy being like, "Howdy, partner. Would you like to reconnect my house?" That's how all Americans sound, by the
way. I was like, wow, that's weird. He's actually an American. I wouldn't be surprised if most of my American friends are just British people doing American accents at this point. This is where I'm
Every time I go on a press trip over there, that's what they make me do at the border to prove that I'm one of you guys. Yep. Like,
it works.
They check my Twitter account to make sure I've not tweeted anything horrific, and then they make me do the accent, and they're like, "Welcome to the USA. Hope you don't have to pay for any hospital visits while you're here."
Can you please say, "Do you have any more ketchup?" That's how you do it.
Do you have any more ketchup?
Yep, there it is.
There you go.
All right, a couple Nintendo stories here. Then we'll get out of here. Nintendo Switch Online is adding Golden Axe 2, Virtual Fighter 2, Alien Storm, and Columns for its Genesis collection inside of the extra tier of Nintendo Switch Online. That Virtua Fighter 2 game looks so messed up to me. I kind of want to play it because I forgot it came out for Genesis. Also, Nintendo just announced that for its next Splatoon Fest, Splatfest, you're going to be choosing between spicy, sweet, and sour. So I'm a spicy boy myself, Jordan, without a question, just without a question.
I am sour, unfortunately.
You got to do what you got to do.
It's the inherent Britishness in me. I wish it wasn't there. I really do. It's a plague upon my house. But yeah, I've not played. I love Splatoon 3, but there's just been so much shit going on that I've not went back to it. And I feel like if I went back to it now, I would just get my head kicked in by a bunch of Japanese teenagers. Like,
I just got crushed, and I was like, I was pretty good at this game, and then I came back and I'm like, oh my god, everyone got so good. This is nuts. So that's exactly what happened to me. All right, let's get into these poll questions. I'm gonna bring this up right here. Yesterday, I asked, do you have plans to go to Super Nintendo World in Hollywood in its first year? 16.9% said yes. 83.1% said no. I'm sure that's a lot of people with hopeful thinking, but still, I think it's a pretty high percentage because, you know, how many people really go to a theme park in a year? Like, what percentage of people? I am really going to try to make this happen, Jordan. I need to go to Super Nintendo World because like you said about Pikachu, I've got the capitalism in me for Nintendo stuff, and I want to go to their store and buy a bunch of dumb stuff. That's where I'm at.
While this show was happening, my boss Andy sent me a message being like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be in LA the week that thing comes out." So, he is him and Chris are like Captain Nintendo. So I think I would. It would be a bit wasted on me because it doesn't have the Nintendo shit that I care about yet. Like, I think it looks really cool and I'd like to go, but like the Mario stuff doesn't do a lot for me, really. Like, I love the Mario games, but I wouldn't buy
you
a
hate
lot of Mario.
Italians and plumbers. We all know. We get it. Yeah.
Factually, plumbers are terrible. All the pipes in my house are fucking frozen. It's like minus 11 right now, so the plumbers are really not doing their job. But as soon as they're like Pokemon World, I'm fucking there. I'll just wait outside it for the 2 years it takes to construct. So yeah, I think
you're the one that always covers like the pop-up Pokemon stuff on VGC, right? Is that you? Yes. Okay. Now I'm putting things together here. I'm like putting pieces together.
I'm the one that had to say to Andy, like, I know this will take I know I'll have to just leave work for a day, but the Pokemon World Championships are in London, so I am going. This is happening, like, and I'll get you some coverage for it, but this is happening, by the way. So yeah, Pokemon's like my number one thing, and I'm sure there was a Pokemon fairground kind of thing in Japan for a while, but I think the Universal theme parks now are so like leagues ahead of Disney that I'm glad that they're the ones that have Nintendo. So yeah, it will be. Am I off my head? Is there not already like Super Mario shit you can buy at Universal? Because Andy bought a lot of shit when he was over for the Game Awards.
But they've added a lot more as part of this official Super Nintendo World Store, where it's not like, oh, it's just Mario stuff, and it's like, no, we're doing based on the theming of the park right now. So it's like, well, Winter Wonderland Mario World, and now we have Winter Wonderland Mario stuff to sell you, and I'm like, yes, please. Yes, please.
I mean, you just buy. When are they going to put out a new fucking Mario game, Jeff? Come on now. It has been so long since Odyssey. One of the another game that was completely underrated.
Bowser's Fury, like that. Just you got to keep in mind, like that. I think they count that as a new Mario game-ish kind of thing.
Bowser's Fury was really mid. I think we can go back.
I mean, listen.
I think we can go back about it now. We can go back and think about Bowser's Fury
recently. Rules. It are still rules.
It was like all right. It was like a mid. It's like Sonic Frontiers ish. Like, it was in that kind of area.
But Sonic Frontiers? Okay, fuck.
I fucking played Sonic Frontiers last night. I played Sonic Frontiers last night properly for the first time. That game's fucking dreadful. Like, who on earth was saying like, oh yeah, you know, it's all right. It's like, it's fine for a Sonic game.
I think it's fun. It is. I think it's fun to play. Like, what am I supposed to do? I'm having fun when I play it.
The whole thing is that you're controlling this wee guy, and he feels terrible to control, and it looks terrible as well.
It's a Sonic game. Of course, it's terrible to control. I know. But it's terrible to control, and I'm having fun. Like that's what happens when you play Sonic Frontiers. It's just the way it is. All right.
Look, the Sonic slander on this website is important to the fabric of it, and I'm just keeping that alive.
Yes, I mean, thank you, and I appreciate that. Do you think Henry Cavill and Amazon can make something that lives up to the attitude of Warhammer 40K? I am going to send that now. In the meantime, though, Jordan, where can people find you and what you got going on?
You can find me sitting building Lego for the next 2 weeks.
Not working. Is that the Lego, not BB-8, what is his name? What's his
BD1?
BD1, yeah. I got that right here, and I haven't started building it. Maybe I should do that over the Christmas holiday.
Sits on my shoulder here.
Yeah, God, that's cool.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? And he does like the little like.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Like he's a wee dog.
Little guy.
Yeah. See, this is the problem. This is how much of a showman I am. There was a part of me here that was like, what if I just fucking ripped his head off right now? But I shall not.
Do it for Giant Bomb. Rip it off.
Absolutely not. That cost me 90 British pounds. That's like, do you know how badly the pound is doing right now? Like, that could have fed my family for a month. Yeah, man, I am winding down for the year and just chilling. We'll be putting out a lot of previews next year on VGC, Video Games Chronicle, for those who don't know. I wrote our Game of the Year list the other day.
What did you guys say? Do you want to say, or do you want to just like tease, or what?
It was Pokemon Scarlet, but no.
That's a joke. You meant Arceus, of course.
I mean, Arceus was very high.
Yeah,
very high.
It's a good game.
Arceus fucking slaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a weird list because the people that review games for VGC are me and Chris. Mm-hmm. So it was a lot of vibes. It was like someone would write the list in the Slack and would go, move that one, move that, move that, move that, and that'll do. Like, it was not a vote or a consensus or anything. But the game that won is the game that's winning fucking everywhere. As it should, because it is
the game of the year. Yeah.
It's like it's like an early shout for the game of the generation. Like it's basically unfair. Oh, what was your fucking PlayStation Wrapped? Did you do your PlayStation Wrapped?
I didn't even look at it because I barely played my PlayStation.
Fake gamer.
Yeah, because I'm a fake gamer. I barely played my Xbox either. So yeah, they both.
I mean, everyone barely played that Xbox.
Yeah.
Hey!
I honestly, my PlayStation Wrapped, I almost said Sonic, because it probably would be like a lot of Sonic Frontiers because I played a lot of that game on the PlayStation. So yeah, I don't know. I'll take a look at it and see what it says.
I've got a little game for the chat. Would you like to guess how many hours on the PlayStation 5 I played of FIFA 23 this year, a game that came out in October?
I'm going to say, yeah, let's chat guess. I'm going to guess 250.
250? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm giving chat a little.
Okay, there's 69, 300, 200, 0, 756. You know what? I'm going to go higher. I'm going to say 600.
You are closest. I played 495 hours of FIFA 23, and that.
When did it come out?
Like October.
Wow, that's how much I used to play like Call of Duty games when they'd come out. I would have like 500 hours by the end of the year, and then by the time the next one came out, I'd have about 1,000 hours. Wow.
And this is while reviewing every single game. This is while being Captain Reviews over here. I have extra hours in the day, you know. I just don't sleep.
Yeah, you need to have some kids or something, man. You need to like go adopt some children, and then
I've got a fucking dog and a cat that do my tits in every single day. So it's basically the same thing.
Basically the same thing. All right, Dan Riker. We're wrapping this shit up. Thank you everybody for watching. On Giant Bomb, listen, we did the game of the year. We're not going to do a UPF today. Instead, we are, at least as far as I'm aware. I'm always the last one to know anything in the morning because I'm doing this show and everyone's like having a conversation. Maybe I'll go in here and find something that has changed, but I'm just going to say it. I think the plan is not to do a UPF, and still we're going to probably record some stuff that we're going to, like I said, get in the hopper, some quick looks, a few other things, who knows, and we'll get all that stuff posted in due time. In the meantime, though, Jordan, thank you so much for spending today with me talking about video games.
Of course, man. Same again next year.
Yes, absolutely. We'll make it every year we'll do this, a tradition and all this. And then everybody, thank you for watching. You're the best audience of gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye. I'm going to go get some sleep.